All right, I think we are live. So hello and welcome to the very first webinar of 2024, and we are starting with a bang. Well, kind of, not really. This one's all about financial modeling, and we have here the master himself, Ian Schnoor, to walk you through practical guides and proven methods on how to get the most out of your financial models. So before we get started, we have a bit of a ritual at CFO Connect, and we always ask the audience where they're tuning in from. So I would love for everyone in the chat to just start dropping in where you are tuning in from the world, because we do have quite a broad international audience, and it's always really fun to see where people are tuning in from. So as we can already see, there's Alexander from Cape Town. I'm jealous of the weather down there. You have Sabrina from Berlin. I'm also in Berlin. Hello, Sabrina. Benoit from Paris. Hello, Benoit. Alexandra from Germany as well, Berlin. Ian, where are you tuning in from today?
Where am I joining in from today? I am in Toronto, Canada today, which is where I live.
How's the weather?
Well, it's a little better. I mean, it's above 0 Celsius, so we're happy about that. But some of you won't quite enjoy that, I think. Must be similar to Berlin right now, I'm guessing.
Yeah, we have a little warmer, a little above 0, but yeah, we're starting to get some sun here and there, so things are moving in the right direction. So if you are new to CFO Connect, CFO Connect is a global community that's powered by Spendesk, which is a spend management platform. We have over 10,000 members. They're all handpicked, so it's really a community for finance by finance. And we host regular webinars like this one on a monthly basis. We have a Slack community, and we publish reports and insights on our blog. So it's free to join, and you can apply. I just shared the link in the chat if you want to join us. So a few housekeeping items before we hand the mic over to Ian. This session will be recorded, and all registrants will receive an email with the full recording. Ian will also share some of his cool tips and tricks and guides that he'll be sharing throughout the session today. And we have a very special discount code for CFO Connect community members, thanks to Ian, that will be shared as well. So keep an eye out for that. There is a dedicated Q&A tab on the right side with the question mark icon. Please ask all your questions there for Ian. He will answer them on the go as he's presenting. And if you see any question that you like, you can also upvote it. So with that, I think that covers all the bases. So I'll hand over the mic to Ian. I'll pop off stage and let him run his show.
Amazing. Thanks, Luke. You can hear me okay? We're good to go here, I guess. Awesome. Fantastic. Well, hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or wherever you're from. I'm Ian Schnoor, and I'm really thrilled to be here today. I have been leading webinars all over the world like this one for ever since COVID started. I've been leading webinars like this all over the world, hundreds, and I'm thrilled to be doing the first one for CFO Connect here today. So thanks for tuning in. We've got a huge number of people in the room, which is amazing to see. Whenever you see me looking over my right shoulder like this, I'm looking at you. I've got a big screen to my right, and I can see all of you, which is amazing. And I will also do my best to keep my eyes on the chat. So if you have a comment in the chat, you're welcome to toss it in there. Here, I'm going to just type in hello right now just to get it started. But I'm looking over at all of you when I'm looking over this way, just to make sure I can see if there are any questions or comments in the chat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and jump right into it. I've got a lot to cover over the next hour. So hang on tight, because we've got a lot of tips and skills that I want to review. I'm going to start with a very quick introduction of who I am and my background, so you know a little bit about why I am here. And then for the most part, for most of our time together, I want to talk about a very specific topic called how to check and review a financial model. People get very frustrated looking at spreadsheets that they did not build. And I'm going to share with you some of my favorite all-time skills to try and find mistakes. In fact, I'm going to promise you right now, if you use some of the skills I'm going to show you over the next hour, you will find most mistakes that are in models that were sent to you. So, so hang tight and let's dive into that. So let me go ahead here. And by the way, I'm going to ask you to bear with me. I am a hardcore Zoom user. I use Zoom. My life is in Zoom. I have taught thousands and thousands of times using Zoom. This is my first time using Splash, so I may be a little awkward with some of the tools, so just bear with me as I get familiar, but I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. So it looks like it's sharing, which is great. I'm going to hide this, and away we go. So I've got, as Luke mentioned, I'm going to go through some slides, but most of our time today, I'm going to be reviewing an Excel model. I'm going to be showing you a model and taking a bunch of notes in an Excel file. And then I'm happy to share all of those files with you after this webinar is over, so that you have them as a resource. I'm also going to mention that, as I said, this is one of, I have a bunch of webinars that I deliver on modeling topics. Luke shared with me a bunch of questions that many of you sent to him in advance, and it was incredible to see your range of questions. There's a lot. People have a lot of interest and curiosity about financial modeling, and it might make sense to do another webinar on modeling best practices. And there were questions around ensuring optimal design and structure and optimal assumption usage. And I'm going to try to touch on some of that if I can, but I really want to focus today on skills to check and review a model. Now, let me talk a little bit about who I am for a second before we get into this here. So as Luke mentioned, my name is Ian Schnoor. You can see on my screen. I am in Toronto, Canada. I am, anyone been? You can go to the chat. Has anyone been to Toronto? Don't come now. Do not come now. It's cold. It's snowy, unless you like cold and snowy. But that's where I am. I have had the opportunity to teach financial modeling all over the world and to be involved with modeling, but this is where I currently reside. I'm currently the executive director of the Financial Modeling Institute. We are the world's only independent financial modeling accreditation organization. And so this is my email address, and this is our website. You can check us out. Think of us, I know this is bold, but think of us sort of, we are aspiring to be the CPA equivalent or the CFA equivalent in financial modeling. I'm going to tell you briefly about FMI in just a moment. I also started my career as an investment banker. I worked at a couple of big banks in the late 90s and early 2000s doing M&A work. I did a lot of financial modeling in banking. And then I started a training business. About 20 years ago, I started a training company called the Marquee Group, and that taught financial modeling. So I taught financial modeling all over the world for over 20 years. I think I taught 25 or 30,000 people. And I sold that business last year. I sold it to Training the Street, a large US training company. And now all of my time is focused on running the Financial Modeling Institute. And as I mentioned and you saw this on the cover, this is our logo, FMI. We are an accreditation body helping people validate their financial modeling skills. Financial modeling has become one of, if not the most important decision-making tool that people use to make critical business and accounting and finance decisions. But there has never been any way for people to prove that they have these skills. So at FMI, we offer 3 rigorous levels of accreditation. Our first level is called the AFM accreditation. And you can see at the bottom here, we have a discount, a 15% discount if any CFO Connect members want to enroll. You can also email us or be in touch with us if you have any questions. Basically, you get access to our community, our learning resources, and an ability to write a really rigorous exam where you have to build up a full financial model of a company from scratch in under 4 hours. It's proctored, and that proves that you have excellent financial modeling skills. That's what we are about. I tell you that just to, so you understand a little bit about who I am and my background and my passion for financial modeling. So let's dive in here. On that note, I see the chat so far is quiet, which is totally fine, but you're welcome to dive in here whenever you like. I will keep my eyes on the chat as we go. So what I'm going to do is this. As I mentioned, I'm going to spend a lot of my time in Excel, but right now I'm still in these slides. It is critical. In fact, I'm going to jump into my Excel notes right now. How many of you, in fact, feel free to go into the chat. I'm going to look for the chat. Has anybody in the recently or in the last couple of years, has anyone here ever had to check a financial model or any sort of a spreadsheet that you did not build? Come on, chat. Just type in yes, or if you've been asked to review someone's model that you didn't actually create. How many of you have done that? I'm going to guess it's a huge number. Most of you have. Oh, here we go. I see. Actually, there it is. Sorry, I was in the wrong tab. There we go. I was wondering why no one was responding. There you go. A lot of you. Wow. A massive number. Of course you have. Many of you have. And I will tell you, does anyone agree with this comment I'm going to put on the board? It can be very stressful to review someone else's model or any Excel file, right? Any Excel file. It can be very, would you agree with that? It can be very, very stressful. I can see a lot of yeses. Yes. Arg. Nelly says arg. Yes. Had to review someone else's. And it is stressful. Why is it stressful? No one tells you why it's stressful. Do you know why it's stressful? It's stressful because if you bless it, I like to say this, you can quote me. If you ever use this sentence, just quote me. It's fine. I don't charge royalties if you want to use this. But here's the issue. If you bless it, you own it. If you bless it, you own it. Meaning, would you agree with that? If someone says to you, hey, I'll call on Nelly. Nelly, will you check this model? And Nelly says, sure, I spent a couple hours last night. Looks pretty good. And then a week later, someone finds an error. Well, whose fault is it? It's Nelly's fault because she blessed it. If you bless it, you own it. And that's the problem, because it can be really hard to find errors in models. You know what the best thing so can I give you a tip? The next time someone says to you, hey, can you please review this financial model? You know what you say? Just say, no, thank you. I don't do that. I'm just kidding. Obviously, you don't have, that'd be nice if we had that option. You don't have that option. If someone says, I need you to check this model, you're going to have to check it. So you know what the best thing to happen, right? Yes, Nelly, next time say, Ian said I should say no. Ian said, say no, thank you. I don't do that. Call Ian. The best thing to happen is you find errors. You know why? Because if you can find some errors in that person's model, you won't own it. Then people will realize, oh, there's some issues. We're going to go back. We got to make sure it gets fixed. You'll look like a bit of a hero if you can find some problems and issues. Now, or if you truly check it and you're very, very confident that there's no problems, then bless it. But people bless models when they're not really sure and there could be errors, and then it's their fault. So I'm going to share with you a sequence. I have reviewed hundreds, thousands of models in my time as a trainer, as an instructor, and I can find mistakes very quickly using a set of skills. I have put together a list. I'm going to share with you today. I have a list of about 10. I will try to share, depends on your questions, 5 to 7 of my favorite skills to find errors. The rest are in the slides, but I want you to know what to do to find people's errors and mistakes. And because if you use these techniques, you will find them. By the way, as in the top of this Excel file is my email address. You can follow me on LinkedIn. I am regularly posting on LinkedIn. In fact, I'm in the middle of posting a video series on LinkedIn right now. It's called The Top 10 Reasons Why Your Balance Sheet Doesn't Balance. And if you scroll through my LinkedIn feed, you'll see it. I've got 6 up so far. Number 7 should be coming out tomorrow. Top 10 reasons why your balance sheet doesn't balance. And those are going on LinkedIn. So let's go through here. Let me show you what I do. And I'm going to go back to my slides. It's really important to check a model, because if someone else built it, you have to understand it. You've got to be comfortable with it. You have to make sure it's usable. If you built it, you want to make sure that there's no errors, that you're not going to get embarrassed when you present your model. So what do I do? Here they are, the tips. Let me go through them and show. I'm going to rewrite them. But there is the very first thing I do. The very first thing I like to do is zoom down. Let me talk about that. Zoom down. Let's go to a model. Guys. Here is a model called the Henderson Manufacturing Model. This is a company called Henderson Manufacturing. This, by the way, is one of the sample models that we use at FMI, at the Financial Modeling Institute. You see there's a cover tab, there's an executive summary, there's a sheet with all of our assumptions, there's a scenarios sheet, and then there's the model. This is a vertical. We talk about model orientation a lot when we talk about model best practices in discipline, we talked about different orientation styles. This is a vertical model, meaning there's a revenue schedule. This is where we're calculating the company's revenues. And then down beneath it is the operating costs. And you can see as I go down, underneath it is the income statement. And then underneath that is the cash flow statement, etc. Here's the model. All the calculations are oriented vertically. Fine. What I though like to do, and I think you'll all agree, is this: whenever you open up a financial model, by the way, if you ever want to think about writing the AFM exam means that you can build a financial model kind of like this one, similar level of detail to this model from scratch with no help, no resources, proctored in under 4 hours. That proves to us and to the world that you have excellent financial modeling skills. It's dynamic, it's working, it's well designed, etc. Let's calculate the tips. If I opened up this model, let's imagine I opened up this model. Here's the problem. Right now, you can read it. Would you agree? You can read the numbers. But what happens is when you can actually read the numbers in a model, you are seeing a very tiny, tiny window. This model goes very deep. I'm only seeing a very deep, tiny piece of it. So what I mean by zoom down is this. It can be very helpful to get a bird's eye view of the model. You will find it's incredibly helpful to understand how the model was built. This tells you how the file was built. So what I like to do is zoom down. Now, by the way, another thing that you're going to hear me talk a lot about is use the keyboard. Do we have any keyboard users? Anyone here? Do we have any hardcore keyboard users? People who do not like to use the mouse? Try to keep your hands. Let me know if you keep your hand off the mouse. You can work. There we go. Anna says, yeah. Very good, Anna. I like that. I'm going to share with you. Very good. I'm going to show with you. Super. Sean, I can see that. Excellent. Another tool that I'm going to share with you all. Another tool that I'm going to look at all these. Oh, Duke hates the mouse. Well, we don't have to hate the mouse. It's okay. But I agree with you. Let's avoid the mouse. Let's avoid it. You know, I'm good. Look I love it. These are true accounting and finance people we've got here in the room. Excellent. You should. I'm going to share with you, as part of being today in the webinar, I'm going to share with you a keyboard shortcut sheet on my favorite all-time keyboard shortcuts to allow you to work quickly and efficiently. And so this is going to come to you after. Can I show you something as well, guys? I'm such a keyboard geek. I'm going to show you. Look at just to show you how important it is. My keyboard looks like this. Do you notice anything about my keyboard? Look at my keyboard. Look, if you notice, there's no letters on it. And that's because over the years, I've taught myself to keep my hands on the keyboard by looking at my screen. You don't need the letters, but you want to focus on the keyboard. I know everyone who ever sees that tells me that I'm an idiot, but that's okay. Maybe some of you will appreciate it. It is important just to keep your hands on the keyboard. So I want to zoom down to around 35 or 40%. So what do? So what do? I am going to use the keyboard shortcut is here. I'm going to go to the Alt menu and then the view. If you press the Alt, you probably all know that if you press Alt, you get letters popping up all over some people don't even realize that. But if you press the Alt key again, you get letters on all the menus. I want to go to the view menu, which is the letter W. So I'm going to press W and then it is Q. So I'm going to press here. Let me write this down. I'm going to press Alt, W, and Q. Or you can use what I actually use as Alt V Z. This is an old one, but it still works. It's more intuitive. View the zoom screen, view the zoom option. So let's do that. Let's go to the model and go Alt W Q or Alt VZ, whatever you like, VZ. It opens up the zoom menu and I am going to do this. Guys, watch. I'm going to zoom the model down to, let's say, 35% and I'm going to click OK. Look what happens when I zoom down. You cannot read any numbers. That's the idea. You do not want to be able to read the numbers. It's got to be small because now watch. Now I can scroll down and I have a really helpful bird's eye view. This is going to help me tremendously understand how the model was built. How is it structured? Where are all the components? How deep does it go? How wide does it go to the right? And I can get a much better appreciation. When I'm reviewing the model later, I'll have a much greater sense for where I'm going. Gives me a bit of a roadmap. In fact, what I have seen almost every I can talk about that after. Olu, just practice, Olu. Olu's asking, how did I get to the point where I don't look at the keyboard? Just do it. I bet you could do it too. Olu, if I sent you my keyboard, I bet you could use it. Just practice keeping your hands on the keyboard and you will get there as well. There's no magic powers. Can I tell you what I've seen? What I have noticed is this. Every time I do this, every time I open somebody's financial model and I zoom down, you know what I notice? I noticed that way over here to the right, there's more black dots and black numbers, and way over here and way over here. We call these little data islands, little islands floating around all by themselves. I'm looking, has anyone ever noticed that? Has anyone seen a financial model and you discovered, whoa, what's going on? Way off to the side, there's more garbage, there's more junk, there's more stuff out there. Has anyone ever seen that before in a spreadsheet where there's all sorts of stuff off to the side, right? Christina says definitely. Well, you can. Anna said no, but maybe, Anna, you didn't see it. So what you should do is by zooming down, by simply going to Alt-WQ, zoom down, you will see right away if there's anything off to the side, and then you can identify it. You can notice it. So it's very simple. It's a very, very, very simple tip, but it's a nice way to get started. And I can often tell if a model is well designed or poorly designed in 10 seconds just by doing this. And I start to have a sense for how difficult it might be to check the model. Now, so this tip, as I said, just allows you to get a bird's eye view and appreciate how the model was built. Let's move on to number 2. The second thing I want to look for is dreaded white numbers. Dreaded white numbers. Has anybody here, while we're down, we're going to check for hidden white cells. So now I'm going to go down to here to zoom down. I'm going to ask you a question. Check for white values. Has anybody ever worked in a spreadsheet and noticed a bunch of numbers were turned white? Has anyone ever seen a bunch of numbers that somebody made white in a spreadsheet? Have you ever done this? Yeah, Alyssa said, oh yeah. Nellie, you call them flyaways. Nellie calls the little islands flyaways. I like that. Yes, that's a great term. So people have seen white numbers. I like that. Temi has said that Temi does that. Temi. So just be careful. The problem with white values, right? I will tell you, right? You want to check for white numbers. They can be dangerous. They can be very dangerous because, of course, if you see white values in a spreadsheet, you might delete them. You might include them. You might include them in formulas. You can't have white numbers and not know what they're doing. So to check for them while you're zoomed down, this is a great thing to do while you're zoomed down. Simply make the background gray. But to do that, first, you need to select the entire background. Does anyone know? Toss it in, guys. Does anybody know? Does anyone know the keyboard shortcut to select a whole sheet? Toss it in if you know it. Who knows the keyboard shortcut to select? I want to select this entire sheet right now. Does anyone know the nice keyboard shortcut? I'm sure some of you do. Come on, type it in. What's the keyboard shortcut to select a whole sheet at one time? I'm sure some of you know that. I'll wait a second here. Very good. Oh, I saw Sue said there, I can see we have here, very good, Control A. Now, Roald has said Command A. You have revealed yourself, I think, hopefully I'm saying it right, Roald. You've revealed yourself as a Mac user, as an Apple Mac user. You wrote Command A. It's Control A on a PC, and you're absolutely right. It's Command A on a Mac. Listen, I'm kind of joking. Macs are great, but it's not. You can't work as quickly. There are not as many keyboard shortcuts on a Mac, but on a PC, watch. Control A selects the entire screen. Okay, Control A selects the entire screen. Let me go back and put my notes. If you are using Excel 2019 or earlier, you will see the white value. So if you're using an earlier version of Excel, you will immediately see white value. So do you notice how I pressed Control A, the background is gray. If you have any white values on an older version of Excel, they will pop. They'll pop out because they're against a gray background. I am using Excel 365. So if you are using Excel 365, you need to make the background gray. and then they will pop. So watch. I selected the whole background. I'm now very simply, I'll use my mouse just to show you what I'm doing. I'm going to go to the home screen and I'm going to click this button. I'm going to use the painter and I'm going to paint the entire background gray, and watch this. Whoa, what's going on here? What the heck? Do you see this? There's a bunch of white numbers. That's going to give me a bit of a heart attack when I realize, why are there white numbers in this spreadsheet? And no one told me that. They were hidden. So the point is, I can go back in, I can zoom up, and I can quickly figure out what's going on and why are these numbers white. So let's take that off. The point is this. Start your auditing. When you're auditing a model, zoom down. It will help you understand how the model was built, number one. And then number two, check to make sure there are no white values in the page. And it's really helpful to do this when the page is small. I promise you, and keep a list, by the way, keep a list when reviewing a model. Keep a list of issues, because what I will tell you is, already after spending 1 minute doing these two things, you might already start to have a bit of a list going, and in terms of how the model's working. But let's move on to some amazing Excel skills next. There we go. There. Oh, someone said if your CFO has a Mac, you go to jail. Well, I don't know. I hope you don't quite go to real jail, but gosh, I guess I wouldn't be opposed to that, to be honest. But I hope that that you don't actually go to jail. Let's go on to the next one here. This one is power. This is an amazing skill. Watch this one carefully. I'm going to do it in Excel here. This one you're going to love. I know you're going to like this one. This one, I have found so many errors in models using this technique. Check for dead values in a sheet. So what I want to talk about is this. Check for dead values. This is one of the most dangerous things people do, and it happens all the time. Watch what I'm going to show you. Let's go back in. I'm going to go back up. I'm going to go back to my Alt-VZ, the view zoom. I'm going to go back up to, let's say, 120%. You can see all with the keyboard, press enter, and I'm back to normal size. Now, can you all see, this is the revenue forecast. This is where I'm forecasting revenue for the company, for Henderson. And you'll notice I have a section for the sales price. And I have a section for sales volume, right? I have a section for the sales price. I have a section for the sales volume. And then I have my gross revenue. My gross revenue here is simply price times volume. You can see that, very easy. Price times volume, easy, no problem. Very, very simple. Well, and every single one of the best practices, when I do webinars on best practices, one of the critical best practices we talk about is that on a model sheet, everything should be a link. Like I'm either linking, I'm repeating an assumption, I'm linking. You see, I have a link and I have another link, or a calculation, a really simple calculation. There should be no inputs. There should be no dead inputs on the model sheet. That's dangerous. Everything is either an assumption that I am linking, or a tiny formula that I can understand, another tiny formula, look, all the way down, just a tiny formula, just little teeny links. Revenue is very simply price times volume. Okay, no problem. Has this ever happened to any of you? But that's not what people always do. Has anybody ever been in a situation? So let's look at our net selling price. My net selling price is the gross price. Everyone understand? My net price is the gross price minus the freight and warehousing. Very, very easy. And it works out to $718. What if my boss called me up quickly and said, Ian, I need to know right now. I'm desperate. I need to know right now. What if the selling price, the net selling price in this year was not 718, but it was 755. I need it right now. Has anyone here ever worked with a boss that's a little bit nervous, a little worked up? Is it ever? I'm probably you have not. Probably only I probably have. Probably you never have had anyone that you work for that's a little bit nervous. But let's pretend that you once or twice. Let's pretend that you had to get an answer quickly. Let's pretend your boss called you up and said, "I need to know right now what would happen if this net selling price was $755." Well, what would a lot of people do? Have you ever done this? I did this in my junior days. I would go to the cell. You know what I'm going to do? My boss wants to know, what if this was 755? So I go, I know it's not a good idea, but I say, let's type in 755, enter. And I dead type it in. It's a dead input. And then I say to my boss, okay, let's just write this down. And I go down, look, I go down to the income statement and I say, okay, what would that do? EBITDA would be 86. Got that? Write that down. The net income would be 39. Okay, you're good. I say to my boss, you're good to go. Good. And then my boss runs away and has what they need. Okay, fine. And then what happens? And then what happens next? Well, obviously what happens next is you forget, or you get distracted. Your phone rings, you get a text, a shiny object flies by. I don't know. Something happens and you get distracted and you forget and you save it. And now there's this dead number here. Well, people do this all the time. It's very dangerous because now if you change any of your assumptions, it's not going to flow through. This number is dead. So my point is, oh, right. Yeah. Anna is saying that the worst is when your boss does this and doesn't tell you, which is why, Anna, you need to use this technique I'm going to show you right now. By the way, I have other techniques if your boss is doing this, but what I need to do is I have to check to make sure there are no dead inputs. It's embarrassing if somebody discovers a dead input after I check the model. So watch this. Great tip. I hope you enjoyed. Number one, what you're going to do is press the F5 key on your keyboard. F5 is the go-to key. F5 is the go-to key. It says, where do you want to go? Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that F5 is the go-to key. Or you can press Control G. Control G is go-to. Well, what some people have never seen, look, is this. When you go to the go-to menu, there's a button called Special. I don't know why they called it this, but apparently there are special places you can go. Let's see what happens when I click the special places. You get a list of all the special places you can go. And what I like to do is say go to special and click constants. Watch what happens when you say go to special and you click constants and you click OK. Look what happens. It highlights every single value on the sheet that was entered as an input cell. Now, I'm okay with the labels being lit up. That's okay with labels. And I'm okay with some historical values lighting up because those are historical. But I'm going to have a little minor heart attack when I discover what is going on here. Why is this number lighting up? Somebody must have typed that in. And I can simply scroll down the model and look for any dead inputs. Of course, the historicals, no problem. Those are actual. But I do not want to see any forecast numbers that are dead. I can go here and fix them. Again, let me do it one more time. You press the F5 key. You go to the special button and you go constants. And when you click OK, it will light up every single dead input. Guys, I have found hundreds of errors in people's models just using that technique. Please try. Who's going to try that one? Let me know. Just let me know if you're going to. I hope, because if you tell me you're going to try it, then you're committed, then you're obligated. So let me know if you're going to try that one. I really go to an Excel file, try it, use it. I want you to use it. I promise you, you will know it. You will memorize it. It'll be super. Look at all these yeses. If you do it once, you'll always know it. You will find errors. You're going to find something in row 3000 that should not have been typed in, and you would have never found it otherwise. So again, let me write this down. So you're going to say go. So you're going to press F5 or you can press Control G. Control G also opens it up. So you're going to press, I'll write this down for you, F5 or Control G to get to the go to menu, and then special and constants to see all dead inputs. Again, people could be amazed. If you open up a model, I'm telling you, if you open up someone's model and you zoom in, and in 5 minutes, you zoom down and you see some funny stuff, and then you discover some white values, and then you do this technique and you discover 6 or 7 dead inputs, and literally in 5 minutes you go back to your boss and you say, listen, there's a bunch of issues already. There's white values, and I discovered a bunch of dead inputs in row 1000 and row 2000. They're going to say, how the heck did you figure that out so fast? They're going to wonder if you're, and don't tell them. That's got to be your secret. Don't tell anybody, because you want to make sure that, no, I'm just kidding. If you want to tell them how you did it, tell them, but they will be impressed if you discover these issues very, very quickly. So powerful. I have found so many errors. I really want you to use it. Now, but that's not going to find everything. This technique here is going to find dead values or dead inputs. But now what we have to also look for is check for hard-coded values within formulas. This is different, okay? This is a little bit different. So again, when I'm checking someone's model, if you emailed me a model to check it, I promise you I would do F5 special constants, and I would find any dead inputs very fast. However, let me put it back. Let me fix it. There, I just fixed it. However, people always, and I'm guessing some of you are even thinking this already. Some of you might be wondering this already. People often say to me, "Okay, that's great, but what if someone?" I bet you most of you are even thinking what I'm gonna show you now. People are thinking, "Well, what if there was a hard code, a dead number at the end? What if someone did one minus the other, and then they want plus, 30, plus 30." Whatever. We call those hard-coded values in a formula. So someone typed in a plus 30, that's just as bad. Has anyone seen that? Who has seen that before, right? A hard code within a formula looks like this, something like, equals whatever, A5 plus A6 plus 17.98742137. Right? How many of you have ever seen, right? Some of you have, right? A lot of you have seen this. This is garbage. How many of you have seen formulas that look like that? If you've done that, I imagine some of you have probably done that. You don't have to tell me. You're welcome. You're welcome to acknowledge it if you like. I won't put you in jail. But listen, we've all done that. At times, it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. Of course, it's horrible because I don't know what that means. I can't find it. I don't know what that means. So if I did that, let's imagine here, I had a number at the end. Let's imagine I had a formula plus 30.456. Okay. Well, people say to me, what if I use my F5 technique? Will it catch that? Watch. What do you think? If I go F5 one more time, F5, special, and I click constants, and I click OK. Is it going to catch that? The answer is no. No, it will not stop. It does not catch that error because it's starting with a formula. It's beginning with an equals and a formula, so it's not going to catch that. Okay, no problem. I need another set of techniques. I need another tool. That's okay. I'm going to show you the next tool very, very with a note. Okay, Nelly does this with a note. Listen, I applaud you, Nelly, for do you do this? Do you go Shift F2? People will go Shift F2 and say, Nelly says it's because of X, Y, Z, You could do that. I mean, you could put a dead number and then a note. The problem is, well, there's still a lot of problems. It's still hard to see it. It's not always obvious. And what a lot of people will then want to do is they'll change the number. They'll change the number, but they'll forget to update the note. And it's still not ideal. The best option, right, is to have this in a separate cell that with a label. Put it in its own row, in its own cell, and include it in your formula. That's a much better option. So let's take this off. But let me show you now how to find these. There are two great options. So there are two great options to find hard codes within formulas. There are two great options to find hard code within formulas. Number one is I'll put this A, we're going to view the formulas as opposed to the results. There's one technique it's a nice way to view the formulas instead of the results. This is a good option, and then there's going to be a much, much better option here. This one is my all-time favorite. Stay tuned. I'm going to get back to B. But A is good also. One thing you can do to find hard codes is you can simply look at the formula. So what do? We go to the Excel file, and you go to, again, the view menu, Alt-M. Where is it here? Sorry. You go to the formula menu, Alt-M. So you go to the Alt-M, the formulas menu, and you go to show formulas. It's Alt-M-H. Let me write that down. So the keyboard shortcut for this is going to be Alt-M and then letter H, or you can go to formulas, view formulas, and watch what happens when I do that. When I go to the model and I go to the formulas menu here and I go to view formulas, you can see where I'm using show formulas, Alt MH. What it does is instead of displaying the spreadsheet as the answers, you're seeing the actual formulas. Now, you might not catch everything this way. You might not catch everything, but if you just do a quick, look what I'm doing. If you quickly scroll down and just eyeball it, if you just eyeball it, you can see that there's no dead garbage at the end. But here, you might notice this. You might notice that there's a hard number. What about down here? Look, I can easily see that there's no dead formulas there's no dead numbers at the end of any of these formulas. I can see that. So, so that's a nice way to do it. And I might catch this one. I'm going to show you another option as well. By the way, on a PC, you can also do this. On a PC, there's a keyboard shortcut. You can go Control and this key, the tilde, or it's usually under the escape key. Usually under your escape key is you will see a little button. It's nice to know this keyboard shortcut. If you press Control and that little tilde, it will, watch, if I press Control and the tilde, it just displays formulas instead of the results. So I can see it and I can toggle back. Pretty simple. So that's nice. Try that one. I think you might, again, I spend 1 minute. When I look at a model, I spend 1 minute looking at it that way, and I scroll down just to see if I can notice any blatant numbers typed in, and you will, if there are any, you will see them. But let me show you now another way. This is my all-time favorite, is to search for differences within a row. And there's an amazing, there is an amazing keyboard shortcut. By the way, I'm in the chat. I can see Danielle has said, would be great to have a cheat sheet with the Mac shortcuts as well. I have good news for you, Danielle. Let me open it up here. I have one. How's that? How's that for service? There is a Mac one as well. Now, there's a part of me that hopes you don't use it because that you switch to a PC. Just sort of kidding. But I listen, if you like using your Mac and you're using your Mac, great. We've put this together, and you can get this one as well. So there's a Mac. I'll send this one. If you like this one, I'll send it over to Luke, and he can send this one out for you as well. So there's a Mac one, and we have a PC one as well. Super. All right. So, and by the way, I'm going into the chat now because there may not be a ton of time for questions at the very end. I'll try and leave a few minutes. I'm also happy to stay a few minutes past the end of the hour if people still have some questions. But I really want to power through a couple more of these skills to show you a couple more things here before we wrap up, because there's a lot that I can show you. In theory, let me put a note here that says, in theory, when reviewing a model, you should only ever need to review the first column. Read this sentence carefully. This is important. What I've said is, in theory, when you review someone's financial model, in theory, you should only ever need to review the first column. Why? Because in a good model, they built a formula and copied it to the right, okay? In a good model, they built a formula and copied it to the right. So watch this. So if I'm looking at a formula here, let's just see this. Let's imagine I was checking this formula for revenue. Do you see that my screen? It's price times volume. Do you really want to go to every year and say, yeah, this one is good? Yep. The second one is good also. Yep. Third one looks good. Fourth one's fine. You're not going to do that. That's painful. You cannot check every single cell by hand. Impossible. Impossible. It'll take you way too long. So imagine this. Imagine if I could say, let's go to this one, the net sales price. Imagine if I could say, hey, I like the net sales price is here in the first year. And you could say, I wish I knew are all the rest of them the same? Are the rest of them exactly the same formula? Because if all the rest of them are the same formula, I know they're perfect, and I will be able to mark the row okay because I don't have to check them if I know instantly they're all the same. Well, the good news is there's an amazing keyboard shortcut to do that. Watch. If you like the first one and then you select a whole row, doesn't matter if it's 5 columns or 25 or more. If you select a whole row, what we're going to do is press one of my favorite keyboard shortcuts on a PC. It's Control and the backslash. Watch what happens when I select the whole row and press Control backslash. It stops at the one that's different because this one had a dead number at the end. It stops on this one because it's different than the first one. The slash key is usually near your enter key. So let me jot this down. I'm going to select an entire row, then press Control and the backslash key. And now I'm going to show you a shortcut for those of you who are using a Mac. So you're going to select the whole row and then press Control backslash, right? Who's going to try this? Who is going to use? I have found, guys, I have found hundreds of errors by using this. And by the way, you can do this. You can do this. Yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing one. You can do this on a whole block. Watch this. You can do this. Let's just watch my screen for a second. Let's imagine somebody did +5, and then this one they did +7, and here they did +1 or -1. Do you see this? Let's imagine people stuck in a bunch of dead numbers all over. I'm going to check the first column. Watch this. Let's imagine this one is good, and 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 this one is good. Okay, I just checked all of these. They're all good. I want to know, is this entire block, is the entire range good? Well, watch again. Control and the backslash, boom. It checks each row separately. It checks each row separately. It knows in the first row, this one is different. Problem. In the second row, this one has some sort of an issue, is different. And then in this row, this one is, and I can say, what's going on here? And I'll realize, oh, someone put a +5 there. Oh, there's a +7 there. And I can take that out. So it's a very fast way to look at a big section of a model and quickly see, are there any, did they change a formula? Did they add a dead number? Any differences will get flagged. It's amazing. Now I fixed it. Watch what happens if it's working. Watch what happens if there's no problem. If it's perfect and you press Control backslash, look what happens now. You get this message. It says no cells were found. That's good. That's perfect. That means no errors, no problems. Everything is working just fine. So, so again, you can do this on a whole block of formulas, and it shows any inconsistencies. It's an amazing feature, and you'll find so many errors in models with this way. You can also do this. You can also do this with the F5 key. Watch this. For those of you who don't have Control backslash, look what you can do. You can go back to the F5 key. Remember the F5 key I showed you? You can say go to. You can say special, and watch this. You can say row differences. It's exactly the same thing. So if you're using a Mac or you don't have that keyboard shortcut working, you can say go to special row differences, click OK, and it does the exact same. Let me select the range here. If I select my range, F5, special, and then row differences like that, enter, it's working. So you can also use the F5 technique. It's F5, special, row differences. Amazing. Yeah, good. You like it? Very powerful. Very powerful. So let me try and do one more thing. I'm going to show you one more. You can look at some more of these. Again, I told you I'd get through 5 or 6. I've done the first 4. I'm going to jump to something in number. Actually, I'm going to show you this keyboard shortcut first in 5. Sorry, I want to show you this keyboard shortcut, and then I will do one more quickly. This is a amazing keyboard shortcut to help navigate model when checking it. This one is powerful. When checking a model, you need to move fast. When you check a model, you need to move fast because the model's big. So one of the best ways to move around is to use one of my all-time favorite keyboard shortcuts. It's this one. To go to a precedent cell, press the keyboard. I'm going to show it to you. Press Control and the left square bracket. There is also a Mac version. You'll see that on the shortcut sheet. But watch this. Let's imagine, please, that I was checking this model, okay? Let's imagine I was checking and I noticed that you linked this cell to a different sheet, right? Can you see this? You have linked this cell to a previous sheet. I want to go there. I want to see it. I want to know, what did you link it to? Okay. Well, what some people do is they use their mouse and then they click scenarios and they click around and it takes 5 seconds. It's too long. Look what you can do. If you put your cursor on this cell and you simply type, again, this one, Control and the left square bracket. Watch what happens. If I press Control and the left square bracket, boom, it takes me right there. It takes me right to that precedent cell. Very powerful. Let me do this one. Let's imagine that I was on the inflation rate and I want to go there. Control and the left square bracket will take me right there. Good. Yes, Anna, it's a great one. Powerful. Heads are blown. It's powerful. It's powerful. These are powerful tips. They're not difficult, but people don't know them, and you need to know them. But hang on, we're not done yet. I'm only halfway there. You know why? Every time I show this technique to someone, every time I say, hey, you can go to a cell and you can press Control left bracket and you go there. Now I can see, did they link it correctly? Yes, they did. People always say, yeah, but how do I get back? How do I get back? They want to go back. And everybody thinks that if Control left bracket takes you there, they think maybe Control and the right bracket takes you back. That doesn't work. How do you go back? To go back, you simply, once again, press F5 and then enter. Watch this. Look how fast this is. Look how fast. So again, I'm on the model sheet. I want to go see the gross sales price. Control left bracket, boom, takes me right there. I like it. It's good. It's perfect. How do I go back? F5, enter, takes me right back. I want to check this one. Control left square bracket, boom, takes me right there. I love it. Let's go back. F5, enter, takes me right back. Very, very, you can navigate models so fast. You can navigate, you can check, you can audit, you can go through models so quickly by using these techniques. So here's what I think I'm going to do. It's about 7 minutes to the hour, and we've covered some of your questions. I covered some of your questions as we went along. I'm going to try and go through a few more questions here. Then I told you I was going to hope to get through 5 or 6 of these. I did. We could do another one if you want to do some more of these, but these are some of the primary ones. I promise you, if you just use these 5 techniques, if you just use these 5 skills, I promise you, you are going to find errors that nobody else will find in a model. Zoom down, see what it looks like, understand it, look for the white values, check for dead inputs, hard-coded dead inputs right in a cell. Look for hard-coded values with these 2 techniques, and then use this keyboard shortcut to navigate fast. If you use these techniques, you will start finding things that you never thought you would find otherwise. So let me take a few more. There's a question for one more. Okay. Let me answer one question, and then let me do 1 or 2 questions quickly, and then I will do one more. How's that? It's like an encore. I feel like the Rolling Stones here. All right. I will come back for one more, or gosh, let's see. Let me see here. Do I have any shortcuts for CFOs using Google Sheets on a Mac? That's an easy one. I'm sorry. The answer is no. I don't. Google Sheets. I like Google Sheets. I will tell you that I have traveled the world. It's still a smaller percentage. More and more companies do use Google Sheets, and the features are getting better. I do not. I am not a hardcore Google Sheets user. We don't have a Google Sheets shortcut sheet. Apologize. And they change things fairly quickly, so it would get out of date quickly. But I don't. I'm sorry, we don't have that. We are more Excel focused. But if you want to do your if you sign up for an AFM program and you want to sit your exam on Sheets, that's doable. But we are the keyboard shortcuts. A lot of things still are a little faster in Excel. And then let me do, there was a question here from Robert. Will I share the cheat sheet? Yes, I am going to be, after this webinar is over, I'm going to share you're going to get the model. So you can look at the model. You're going to get my notes. You're going to get the slides. You're going to get the slides and these slides. And I will also send the cheat sheets, the keyboard shortcuts. I will not send you my keyboard that has no letters on it. I can't email that. But if you're interested in knowing what I use, because you feel like a real nerd like me, then let me know. And you can ask me on LinkedIn or, and I'm happy to take that. I will do one more for those of you who want to stick around. It says, there is a question here. Right. So, okay, so let me do these very quickly. Now the questions are coming in here in the chat, which is great. So the last one is not working on a G. I thought that might be the case. The control. So this one, I think you're saying, Adina, you're saying this shortcut is not working on a keyboard. That's true. Whenever I have taught people in Spain or in Germany or in South America, sometimes the keyboard shortcut is different. Now I will tell you, I promise you, Adina, I promise you, there is a keyboard shortcut that does this. If you send me a picture of your keyboard, I can try to help you. I have found anytime I travel the world, I always find it. I'm not sure off the top of my head what it is. Just hold the control key and play around with a bunch of different keys and you will find it. I promise you, you have it. It may not be control on the left square bracket. On a PC, you for sure have it. And then on a Mac, to go to a precedent cell, what is the shortcut for a Mac? Let's do it. I am going to show you one more. I'm going to do it quick, and we're going to go a few minutes over. Apologies. But on a Mac, to go to a precedent cell, it is, I am not here. It looks like this is what I have for a Mac, and I am not a Mac expert, but I have that it is still a control on the left bracket. I will tell you, though, sometimes individual Mac computers are a little different. And so if you play with it, I promise you it's there. Okay, let me do one more. Try to find it. Let me know if you can't. If you can follow me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to chat with you that way. Let me do one more. I've got 3 minutes. I'm going to show you one more great tip here. This one is actually when testing a model, you want to see what's happening to the results, right? When you test a model, you want to see what's happening to the results. I think you're going to like this one a lot. This is a very powerful tip, and then we'll wrap up. So in our model, watch this. In our model, I have the assumptions up front. The assumptions are here. You can see them. Here's all my assumptions. These are all the assumptions driving the model. Now, in another webinar that I do on modeling best practices, I talk about the discipline of assumption building and how to put the assumptions, and we talk about keeping them up front. But one thing, and I always talk about the importance of putting your assumptions up front. But one of the frustrating things people encounter is that when all your assumptions are up front, you don't see what's happening to the answers. Watch this. So these are the cost assumptions, right? These are all my cost assumptions, and I can change them. But if I want to see what's happening to net income or to cash flow, I now have to go back to the model. Watch this. I'll go to the income statement. On the income statement, look, EBITDA is this. Here's EBITDA. Here's net income. You can see that. No problem. Actually, let me get rid of, I have a dead number here still. Let me take that out. So on my income statement, I can show you EBITDA and I can show you net income. Very, very simple. What if your boss told you that the raw material cost was going to actually be higher? It was going to be 250. So I type in 250. Okay, great. But so what? So what? I want to know what's EBITDA going to be. Well, if I want to see what did that do to EBITDA, I have to go back. I've got to go back. I got to go back to the model and I got to go, okay, what's EBITDA has now gone lower. Okay, it's this. And the net income went down. I'm jumping back and forth. I'm always jumping back and forth. And let's change it again. Let's make it 240. What did that do to EBITDA? I don't know. I'm going to go back to the model. You see, People don't like that. They're always jumping back and forth when they change an assumption to see the answer. Well, I have a great solution for you. This is to change inputs, but see your outputs. Use the watch window, one of my favorite features in Excel, and it lives here. It lives under the formula menu, formulas, and there's a button here called the watch window. It's there, but almost nobody's ever seen it. So it's under formulas menu, watch window, which is Alt M and then the letter W. Watch this and then we'll end it. Okay, just need 1 minute and then we'll be done. Take a look. I'm going to go to the model and I am going to say Alt. I'm going to open up the formula menu and I'm going to click this button here, watch window. It opens up this box. It allows me to watch things in other places. Take a look how powerful this is. I'm going to say add a watch. And I am going to go to my model sheet and I will select 3 years of EBITDA. And I'll click add, and there they are in the box. Let me do one more. Let me add another watch. Let me go to the model and add 3 years of net income and click add again. Well, now it's incredibly powerful because you know you've got EBITDA and net income here. Take a look what happens, please, if I change my raw material cost to $250 and then I press enter. Please watch inside my box when I press enter. Bam. You can see immediately what's happening all over your model. Credit ratios, valuation numbers, IRRs. So powerful. As you play with your inputs, you know exactly what's happening deep inside your model. Who's going to try that one? Who is going to try that one? Who will try that? Let me see. I see there are some more comments here. You guys are chatting with each other, which is great. I can see this. Who's going to try that one? Yes. Cool. Good. Let me know, because if you say it, then you're committed. Good. Try it. I promise you, you will use it. Yeah, you will use it and you will find it helpful. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wrap things up now. You've asked a lot of questions. We covered a bunch of your questions in the chat, which is great. It's good. Actually, there's none in the Q&A. You kept them all in the chat, which is perfect. I wrap things up. I want to thank you all for being here. Again, I wanted you to just to get a sense that for me, modeling is all about a discipline of building strong models, checking. And I hope today that I shared with you some really great skills to allow you to find errors in people's models. It's so powerful to be able to do that. After this is over, you're going to receive an email with a poll from CFO Connect. If you like this webinar, let them know. If you want to see another one by me, let them know. I'd be happy to come back. I have lots of webinars like this, a few anyway, where we can talk about modeling best practices, modeling tips, modeling tools. So if you want to see more of this, let them know and we can definitely be back. And if you're interested in learning more about FMI, you check out our website. And if you're interested in learning more about the AFM program, as I mentioned, there's a discount code for those that were here today. So I will wrap up and stop sharing my screen. I want to thank all of you for being here. Thanks for participating. I love it when people chat with me. So thank you for doing that. And I hope the rest of you, thank you all for your comments. I appreciate it. I hope you found it helpful. Amazing. Thank you. Looking over at the chat board now. And I look forward to being in touch with some of you. Good luck in your modeling journey, and maybe we'll see some of you again. I think Luke is going to end this thing in a moment. So I wish you all a great day, a great week, and I hope to see some of you again soon. Okay. All the best.